we were the wedding party, you might say. And I remember her coming in, and she was so pretty. And so I always remember that.
Years of work and worry had left their mark behind. I remember Daddy's hands, how they held my mama tight and patted my back for something done right. There are things that I've forgotten that I loved about the man, but I'll always remember the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. I remember Daddy's hands working till they bled, sacrificed unselfishly just to keep us all fed. If I could do things over, I'd live my life again and never take for granted the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands.
I'm Kenneth Sorum. I was born in Noonan, North Dakota, at the hospital on May 12th, 1937. I remember right, I was just about 10 pounds at that time. and I was from Columbus area.
Joan Sorum, and I was born in a tiny house in Kenma, North Dakota, and Dr. Gamble was at the house, and that was June 20th, 1938.
My dad was Chris Sorum. My mom was Thelma Berg. Well, Mom went to high school in Columbus. Dad was farming at that particular at that time too. So she was cook, and she could cook good, and she was a gardener quite a bit, and she baked, and she baked bread, and well, she made all kinds of Norwegian stuff, like potiman, lefse, and certain kinds of bread, Norwegian bread. She was always helping.
My dad's name was George Dahl, but he was known as Ted. I don't know how they got Ted out of George, but...
Nickname.
And my mom was Olga Lunsted. She was small. She was talkative. I think she was more talkative than I am, actually.
She's friendly, talented, good cook.
Yes, and she could sew, and
Well,
she would cut people's hair, guys or girls or women, and she could sew anything. She was very talented in that way. She made donuts a lot, and they were excellent. Not raised donuts, just regular donuts. And she was a gardener. We had big gardens. We lived in Kenmare, and we moved to Lignite when I started my second grade in Kenmare, and then we moved to my grandparents' farm. So I was a little over 7 then.
my mom always would have a garden. She'd grow strawberries, and in the summertime, the strawberries always come ripe when like on Sundays or so. She would have to, if we went to church, or most of the time, she'd stay home after church and pick her strawberries, and because she didn't want them to get overripe and stuff. And she never let, we never helped her with that part of it.
My grandparents' name, he was George and she was Betty. But when they came from Sweden, her name was actually Frida. And his name, it sounded something like Goran, and somehow got to be George. And I guess they didn't want to have their Scandinavian names. My dad's parents. When we first moved to Lignite, they were still on the farm, but they were moving into town. So then Grandpa was a carpenter, so he was working on the house. And when it was ready, they moved to Lignite. So I lived on the farm from the time I was 7. They were all Norwegian on both sides, my mom's. But my mom's mother died when she was 40, and there were many children. There were 11 children. No, he was born in this country. The grandmother was Karen Oli.
My grandpa Sorum was Carl. Grandma was Hilda Sorum. My dad was the oldest of the family, and they had 10 children. Grandpa Berg was Peter Berg, and Grandma was, I never really knew her because she passed away when she...
What was her name?
It was in 1943. My grandparents came from Minnesota, and my grandpa was Norway, and grandma was too. Grandpa had 4 brothers, and it was 4 brothers that came over from Norway. Some were Birgits and some were Bergs. 2 of them were Birgits and 2 of them were Bergs. Well, that's the way they come when they got naturalized, I guess. And they all lived in Burke County. When I was born, we lived north of Larson. We had a farm. Dad farmed not too far from Grandpa's place. When I was 9 years old, we moved out to my grandpa Berg, his farm. That was my mother's home. Then we went to grade school. Well, I went to Brookside School, north of Larson, when I'm to the 3rd grade. And Arlene Horntreat was my 1st grade teacher. And but when we got out to the foothills, we call it the foothills farm, I went to school in the East School of Foothills Township. They opened up a school closer to home. Graduated from the 8th grade at Burke County School.
He was a carpenter. When I was born, we were in Kinmare, and he was in the CCs at that time. And the C boys were riding in the back of a truck, and there was an accident. And he had a compound fracture in his arm. And I mean, this is back in the 40s, early 40s. And he was in the hospital in Kenmare, and they sent him to Bismarck, and he ended up at Fitzsimmons Hospital in Denver. He couldn't lift his arm all the way up after that. And it was a big, deep scar.
She's spent time with her aunts and sometimes.
Well, he wanted my mom to come. So my Aunt Mabel took care of me while she went there. And then my Aunt Mabel was planning to do something else after a while. So then I lived in Denver for a while. I was like 3.
I had 2 brothers. They were younger than me, but Neil and Gordon. Neil, he ended up to be work for an investment company. He ended up out on the West Coast. He met a girl out there, and they got married. And for the company that he was working for, why, they wanted him to transfer him to the Midwest, and so they ended up in Mason City, Iowa. Then he did so well that he went to Norway. He invested in Norwegian fjord horses, and he had 4 or 5 of them, and they brought them over here and imported them. He was starting to expand them. But then when after a few years, he got, the company wanted him to move again. They moved to Lebanon, Ohio. So he was sort of grew up there and got to be bigger and had a lot of territory. He was top he was top man or when he was in Ohio. You know.
I had one brother, and his name was Rollins, and he was 6 years older than I was. So, and he's going to be 90 July 10th of this year. My brother being 6 years older, of course, he teased me, you know, had me do funny things. But he was a good brother, though. He wasn't mean. So when I was 6, he was 12, and when I was 12, he got married at 18.
I guess we lived out in Fortune Township, where I first was born or lived, and we lived there till 1946. And then my grandpa Berg wanted us to come out to his farm because Grandma Berg passed away in 1943. We come out there then, and it was in fact, this is still still standing, but you know, it was a 2-story house and sitting on top of a hill, and it was a farmstead and barns and granaries, and I remember we had Christmas out there one year, and my uncle, it was on Christmas Eve, and my uncle and his family, and we had a Christmas tree that had candles on it, had the regular candle holders and stuff, and didn't have them lit very long. Well, anyway, when they opened presents and stuff, well, then Santa Claus was there and everything, and then after Santa left, then I discovered that my uncle, he wasn't there, and I said, "Where's Odie?" You know, and here he was Santa Claus. So I remember that, and I was probably 5 or 6 at that time. He didn't get the trick us entirely. But,
I went to school first grade in Kenmare and started the 2nd grade, and then we moved out to the farm. Graduated high school, 1956. 10 in our class, 5 girls and 5 boys. In the past, we had a lot more members in class, but so many of them moved away, so that we didn't end up with a big class. It would have been more than 20 if we had everybody that had been there.
well, we just grew up with horses, and Dad had horses. When we moved out to the foothills, transportation was not the best, and so when we moved out there, we loaded our furniture and a couple rubber-tired wagons. Dad drove one team and I drove the other one out to our new home. You know. We did that all in one day, I guess. I was 9 years old then. You'd have horses every day. You'd hook them up and use them, especially in the wintertime. And you'd hay with them and do different things. I got to drive them and stuff, you know, and work with them and play with them, I guess. And it's one of those things that we always had horses. Still do. I had a pony. Many kids rode her, and she was, if you happened to slide off or fall off or something, well, she'd always stop and wait for you. So we had a lot of good time on Babe, what's her name? And everybody had a team of horses or some horses in those days. A lot of times in the wintertime, that was ways of transportation to schools or Christmas parties and different things. And
I'm not sure if I was 9 or what I was, and my dad came to town with hay rack and horses. We just lived 4 miles west of Lignite on a straight road, and he came and brought a cake and a cream and some clothes because we were stranded in town, staying with our grandparents. They lived directly across from the old school in Lignite.
in the summertime, we'd play baseball, and the neighbors, we had neighbors close by. My uncle Odie Berg, they lived right next to us. They had children, and they were a little younger than me. I was always the oldest one. Then we had neighbors. We had probably 5, 6 neighbors within 2 miles of a farm. Families grew, and they opened up a school close by. It was a nice neighborhood. My grandpa gave some land for church. That church, it was in the hills. We lived right below the hills. Pasture was to the south of us and everything, and the church was built in 1913. That was Tunsa's church, and it's still there today.
Well, in Kenmare, there was one friend I used to go. She lived at the bottom of the hill, and we played together a lot. But in on the farm, my mother didn't drive, so we didn't do much of anything, really. Oh, I sang at some weddings and funerals at the time in a small town. They didn't have anything to pick from.
No, I didn't, and I don't think you did.
No swimming pools around.
Well, we didn't have swimming pools. If you wanted to swim, you went to a slough. We used to go up to Estevan on, say, probably the 4th of July or something. Had picnics, and then there'd be quite a few relatives and stuff, her families. It was right by Estevan, it's where the golf course is now. You know, Woodlawn. We would go up there, and there'd be long lines of cars going to Woodlawn, Estevan, for celebrating the 4th of July.
We went one picnic up there on the 4th of July. And we went to the park by Columbus on one 4th of July.
But it wasn't a lake.
No, but we went there on the 4th.
Yeah, oh, okay. It was Wildwood.
Wildwood.
Yeah.
That was a place to go. But a lot of times on the 4th of July, they stayed home and hayed. Just being a kid. I mean, some people, when they get older, oh, they wish they were 20 or something like that, and I don't feel that way. I'm happy that I have kids and grandkids, and I have no wish to go back. Or, you know, I don't regret anything.
Well, I guess we miss the work. and I don't miss the work, but I mean, there was always a lot of work because we milked cows and everything, and had beef cows and milk cows. And we sold. Dad got in line to sell milk to the creamery in Crosby here. Newman Powers was the manager or the owner, and my uncle and several of the neighbors milk cows too. They held milk up here. I think it was twice a week. They put it in 10-gallon cans, and then we had a cooler for it to keep it cold. Then my uncle hauled the milk up here to the creamery, and that was a good little more income when you sold milk instead of butter or cream, you know. And so I guess we did everything as pretty much he did, or you know, from cleaning barn to milking cows, and there was plenty of work to be done, and it's not good not to work, you know.
I didn't milk any cows. I baked, and especially when we got electricity. I was in 7th grade, and then we got a refrigerator in the summer, and I thought ice cubes was about the greatest thing in the world. You know, because we never had a fridge ever for that. Even when we lived in Canada, we didn't have a refrigerator, and that was common in the 40s. My brother and his wife gave us an electric ice cream maker for Christmas that year, so that was a big deal. Because we got electricity not too long before Christmas, so we light some of the tree and made ice cream, you know, cows and cream. My cousin always said that it was a house cat. You know, she was a tomboy, and she liked to do things outside. My cousin Nancy, a year older than I was, and she'd come and stay in the summer and at Christmas time. And she loved to go out and clean the chicken coop and kind of things, which was the furthest thing from my mind. But we had fun together when she was there, though. She called me a house cat because I wasn't an outdoor girl.
Everything was smaller as far as tractors and stuff. And Dad would run us out in the field, and we learned to drive tractors early as we could. But in order to train us right, like you'd take a tractor out in the field, and he'd come out, he'd sit in the pickup and watch us make our rounds and make sure we didn't get in trouble as far as accidents and stuff. But I always enjoy that, and I still enjoy that kind of work. Well, when I was growing up, I'd be helping Dad quite a bit, and he would let me work in the field and stuff, and I was just a young person, and so 1949, it wasn't the best crop in the world, but it was when they got done thrashing it, they had quite a bit of loose heads and different things. And my uncle and Dad and them, he raked that up. Well, we'll pat it, combine it and get done with everybody else. So I had a whole team. They weren't even a team. There was one old one, another one. We raked up windrows of wheat that had, the bundles had been picked off, and there was loose heads and stuff, and so I would rake them up, and then when they got them all raked up, I would haul them home in the hay rack, and we did quite a few acres and got a pretty good pile of wheat and stuff at home. Then the day come that they thrashed my pile for me, and I got right around 66 bushel. Thrashed it and put it in, we had a pickup at that time, and put it all in there, and then next day we took it to town, to Columbus, to the person was Paul Erickson, was his elevator man, and he wrote out a check for, it was quite a bit over $100. About 100.
How much was it a bushel then?
Well, probably $3, you know. I bought some school clothes with it, and so I was going to country school then. Then I also would help a neighbor up in the hills. He was sort of alone, and he had some neighbors that helped him. And I would bring my team of horses and myself up there and a hay rack, and we'd load up bundles that were shocked. And then they had a thrash machine going there. And it was kind of a slow operation, and we didn't have a barn on the place we moved. My grandpa had a fire and burnt the barn down. Dad found a barn and had it and bought it. It was on a vacant farm and stuff. Made a foundation for it, and then all the neighbors come around and poured the concrete. It was kind of, they come and help pour the concrete. They did that for that barn. We did many barns in the neighborhood, or even houses.
Well, I think the first time I knew who you were was when we had Bible school in the old school. And I saw you, but I really didn't know who you were at the time.
Could be.
I don't know if you were 12 or 13, what, I don't even know. He didn't talk to me or anything, no. I don't think he even knew I existed even.
Never knew. Oh, yeah. I went to...
Are you remembering? I'm remembering, are you?
Go ahead. We'd have Lutheran League, or church stuff and everything, and our church shared the same pastor as they did in Lignite. Well, we went to Lignite to have confirmation on Saturdays and different things, and then they had it was a youth, sort of a youth group, and we met out there, and man, I was old enough to have a car and stuff, but eventually we got together and got married.
What did you like about her?
Oh, I don't know. she's pretty. And, you know, it was, well, there's a lot of things I liked about her, but, you know, and Joan Patricia Doll. And we had Bible school. No, not Bible school either. It was in church.
He doesn't know.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a picnic in Wildwood Park.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was a family picnic or a church
No.
picnic or
It was, and yes, we went to show, and then it was a carload
oh, I
Went
went
to
to the movie
in Columbus.
in Columbus that evening.
Yeah, that was the first time I was ever with him. No, it was a group
Yeah.
there.
What did they call
I thought it was Luther League, I
Luther
suppose.
League, it was, yeah.
Well, he asked me to. You don't remember?
Yeah. Oh, I guess I kind of liked her.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
But, you
And then
know,
there was a carload of kids. I'm not just sure
Yeah, it
who they
was-
were anymore. I mean, do you realize how long ago that is?
yeah.
50 something? 52
53,
or
54,
52?
maybe 50.
No, not
Two.
50. 52 or 53,
Well,
I suppose.
I graduated in high school in 55, so it was
Probably
before
50,
that.
52 or 53.
I had no idea.
Oh, that's not true.
But
I don't have a clue what the show was that we went to. Oh, we broke off. Once
yeah, once
or twice.
she had to get rid of her other boyfriend.
Well, he went to the senior prom with somebody else. And Lignite didn't have proms till I was a junior. And I went with somebody else. But I went with him to the senior prom in Lignite, you know. Oh yeah, and he went to his junior prom with somebody else too.
I don't know, remember?
I thought Deanie Tweeter had something to do with it in Columbus.
Oh, there's always somebody pushing us together, seemed like. Huh?
We went together all of my senior year.
I don't remember.
Well, then I went with Verdane.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was earlier.
Of course, he was kind of flighty though, kind of. No, I don't mean Gordy or him. I meant this Verdane was flighty. He didn't really propose. He just kept talking about getting married. He didn't say, "Well, please marry me."
I didn't get down on my hands and knees,
No.
did I?
He just kept talking about getting married. And I said, "Oh, we're too young," I kept saying. And we were.
No.
I turned 19 June 20th and we were married the 30th of June. It'll be 65 years this year. That can happen when you get married young. Oh, stuff, isn't it? Wasn't the Lignite in that church isn't even there anymore. They've got a new church.
This is the first Lutheran church.
And it was a small wedding. We each had 2 attendants. I wanted 2 of my other friends too, but I just didn't want it to be a big wedding. We just left it small, you know. And weddings were so different then. The receptions were in the church basement, which, you know, and there was no, I mean, way different. Well, it was in the afternoon.
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And then, you know, we just ate food. And
I can remember when they were coming in for the church, and me and a couple friends, we were the wedding party, you might say. And I can remember her coming in, and she was so pretty. And so I always remember that. And yeah, we went to Williston, and then I think we went to Plentywood. And of course we had to get back to work, so my dad, he was a hard worker and everything, and he passed away. He had a heart attack and passed away when he was 52 years old. I was working at the implement in Lignite. They hired me as a partsman, and it was an implement. I worked there for, I suppose, 2-3 years, I suppose. And here my dad just came into town. He overhauled his tractor. He had him and his neighbor and mechanic were overhauling his tractor, and he came into town, and I was at the implement there, so he came in and got oil, or getting oil, and we was back in the oil warehouse at the implement there, and we were both trying to figure out what we wanted for oil and stuff, and all of a sudden I heard him groan, and I turned around to him, and he was falling. He was falling down, and I caught him, and I laid him down, and he was dead. He died, just like that. And so, yeah, then I helped after. I was the oldest of the boys, and so I helped with putting the crop in and stuff. And so, but this was in April, about probably April 6th, I think it was. And Mom, she was pretty upset and everything. But in the meantime, they just built a house on the farm. And it was only probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 years that they'd lived in it before he had passed away. So he didn't get much chance to live it. It was in 1961. At that time I had graduated from high school in 1955. So he always let me do things when he was around that I probably couldn't have done when I was a kid, or when I got married, and then we weren't going to have any children right away. We were going to wait, and so, when my dad died, And he liked children, kids. That was always his highlight. And when he died, we didn't have any kids. And we was always sorry that we hadn't gotten any yet.
And we lived in Linga until we moved up here then.
Well, you come up here and got a job in the telephone office. I don't know.
Then after that, I really didn't.
Well, she didn't. And then after we got married, why?
In Lignite, we worked at his uncle's store. I worked in there. Jocelyn was born in '61, and Jennifer was born in '62, and we were married in '57. So I thought being married so young, I didn't think we should have a family right off the bat. Well, they were born in Canmere with the same doctor that delivered me, Dr. Gamble. I would have been disappointed because Kenny had 2 brothers, and his mother's sister had 3 boys. My brother had 4 boys. And I wanted a girl so bad.
So she got 2 then.
We got 3.
Yeah, 3 good.
But we were okay with it though. When Kendall was born, I was happier yet when Jonathan was born, so that Kendall would have a brother and not be living with a family of girls.
Well, when we lived in Lignite, I ended up, I didn't farm. My mom, she met a farmer, and they got married, and he farmed, because he had a farm too. So then I went to work for a pipeline outfit, and in the oil field. It was when the oil field is pretty small yet. We'd load tank cars of oil right down west of Lignite on the highway there. We worked there, I think it was a couple of years at least. Put in a pipeline from there to Minot. They called it a portal pipeline. Then when they got the pipeline, they didn't need to load the tank cars of oil. So they were going to shut that part of it down, and then they wanted each of us to move to a different spot. And they had a site for me to move to down by Minot. And of course I didn't want to leave Lignite. I didn't want to go that far away from home, and so then a representative from Westland Oil stopped by, and he asked my former boss in the implement there if there was anybody that would be interested in starting a service station in Crosby. And of course, and he mentioned my name, and he come and seen me and showed me the place, and we decided to come up here, be in the service station business. We had 2 kids then. It was Jocelyn and Jennifer. We moved up here and took over the station on December 1st of '61. It's a different station than now. But anyway, it was smaller and more for those times. And the Western Oil Company, well, were good to us and helped us along and decided to build a new station. They bought a lot next to the station, their station that they had, which was a bottle store, Blank's bottle store. And of course he was retiring and kind of quit and done, so they bought that, and then next summer in '68 where they built this station for me, and I leased it. In '62 we moved up here.
Yeah, Jennifer was like 3 months old, August, September, October. She was 3 months old, and Jocelyn she was a year at the end of May, so they were both little. I cried all the way. When we moved to Crosby, I cried. Well, I was used to Lake Night, and I had a special aunt that was there. And then we came ahead of time to look for a place, and at that time there was still the air base. So it was really hard to find anything.
We lived in a two-story house and owned by Andy Ingles.
It was an apartment upstairs.
And
then it was a kitchen, 3 bedrooms, and a living room. So we were actually lucky. And we moved in November, and then he started the first part of December. Oh, I don't know. It was kind of a long winter. I didn't drive, and I was happy to see the milkman come. It was Dick Shafee. Because I didn't really get out, really. It was, winter time and cold and stuff. Happy. She had this big, hearty laugh. She was more quiet and serious than Jocelyn was. Jocelyn was always, the way she is now. The other 3 are more like Kenny and his side, and those 2 are more like my side. Kendall and Jennifer, and she'd go. She didn't have the big hearty laugh. She did.
She checks in every day, practically.
Yeah, she brings the mail. Oh, no trouble getting her to sleep. She says she's still a sleeper. I mean, she just went to sleep really good, and sometimes babies fuss, and she just went to sleep. Oh, he was really smiley. He was just smiley. He was just really smiley.
Well, I guess I was pretty happy about that too. Well, Joan was more happier.
Well, I just think it's nice to have both kinds,
She's more thinking that way,
Oh, I think all my kids are great. Really. Well, I think he's always been the same. Well, I'm thinking when he got a little bigger, he was just kind of the way he is now, Well, he's always kind of joking around and stuff, or teasing kind of. And
he helps you.
Oh, yeah, I know. All the things he's done in this house, oh my goodness. He's just done so much. Oh, for goodness sake. There's no favorites. They're all favorite.
Where do I start? But anyway, Jocelyn, she teaches in Our Redeemer's in Minot, Jennifer, she's married to David. And Heather's married to Mark. And Kendall's married to Aaron. Yeah, and she's the bookkeeper at the station here. And or their boys, they come and help a hand too if they have to, or so if they want to. And
I think when we got the first bike, I think I was pregnant with Jonathan, I think. The first one he brought home. Well, he brought home the first one. It was a second-hand one. And I'm not even sure what year it was.
I don't either, but
anyway, both the boys would ride in there. And then they were both, I remember them going to sleep in that bike. I wasn't interested. I didn't want the responsibility. I felt like I would just go like this. I mean, I haven't regretted it. I haven't minded at all.
we had dogs. We had Cocker Spaniel pups. And this one dog she was home alone. And Joan was up town. She had the three-wheeler, you know. The city had just passed the ordinance that you had to have a leash on your dog. Joan come up town on the bike, and the dog always stayed home, and pretty much. And so when the dog was coming across the railroad tracks over here, and this policeman, he really seen that I needed to have a leash on this dog. And so he come up here to the station. I happened to be here in the station, and he said, "You're gonna have to get a leash on your dog, or else I'm gonna have to tie him up and put him in the cage." And I looked at him and I said, "You know, it's probably the only dog in town you can catch." He was mad. He got mad. And, well, I never did tie him up, the dog, but I said, "It's the only dog in town you can catch." And it really hurt his pride. He hadn't been on the force real long, but
I don't do horses.
she don't like horses.
Well, no, I admire them from looking over the fence. I'm just like
You just like driving a car.
I'm a chicken. I think they're nice, but I just don't feel comfortable. Debbie Benter used to ride with Jocelyn and Jennifer.
Yeah.
They did that a lot.
I always had horses, and so I got it. I think we got 4 or 5 now, and I give this one team of blacks to Kendall, and he does the most driving. Well, we've had the horses in the barn and the stuff out here ever since I guess I used to have cattle too, but I give the cattle to the boys, and they got too busy to take care of them, so they sold them. But I think I've had a team of horses or so in the parade at the threshing show pretty much every year, and the fair, the county fair here, I got a special oil wagon that used to haul fuel to in delivery. And Danny Lindsay who was a dear friend. Him and I went out to just about out to Scooby to auction sale. We bought it and I brought it back, did a little tuning up on it, and Johnny Banner painted it for me. I had him paint it, and that's why it looks so good. Because, well, he put the right kind of paint on it and everything. I haven't done so much out there. Johnny Tissy is a dear friend. We've always sort of shared our thoughts and stuff. I remember participating a little bit when they had the threshing show out by the arena. That was one of the first or second ones ever. I guess I never really pushed for things, but he would promote it, and I would follow along as good as I could. And there isn't anybody that I can tell that can remember things like he. I mean, there isn't, I don't know of anybody that is as sharp as he is and remember things, names, and it's just amazing. I never had time for a lot of that stuff because I'd probably put in too many hours, well, working too long. And of course, I wouldn't go work in the threshing show or something if I didn't have time, because I don't want to make people wait for customer work. Every parade we've had at the Historical Society, I think we drove a team of horses. Some years I didn't have horses there. One of them got sick or broke, and then somebody had always borrowed me a team of horses to drive. This one team I had, and they were a gentle team. Just before the parade, I put new lines in the harness, with the harness, and we went in the parade, and it didn't have it organized really real good because they had a steamer coming behind us. Whoever was running the steamer probably wasn't real good, and here the thing blew off, steam. When that steam went, and it was loud, and those horses reared up, straight up in the air, and took off. And we had a big crowd there. We got them stopped, not really stopped, but we got them slowed down. So when it comes to the turn, I think they're Leonard Beaver's team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he let me use them. I had the oldest team of Belgians, and then I had this young colts that I bought up in Canada. And I brought them down the fall before. And we were training them all winter in the barn. I had them in there and tied them up and fed them oats and different things. And then it got to be spring, June. Let the horses out in the pasture on the west side of this road. And we sort of didn't work with them that much then, and so when I was out in the pasture, was standing under a tree, a young horse and an old horse. And the lightning storm come and struck the tree that they were standing under. And it killed them both right away. I mean, right on the spot. But I didn't know about that because I couldn't see the tree from the road. And Mike Melby was doing crop spraying then, and he looked down and he seen two horses that were laying dead under this tree. And so he come and told me, and so it was kind of disgusting. It ruined both teams because one was would have sleighs and toboggans behind. We had remember those small horses we had, and they would tie a toboggan behind. We'd go down the street, and they'd slide around the corner on the toboggan. It was just too fast or something, where they couldn't hang on, and you know, they had a lot of fun that way. Well, yeah, that was in '68. I didn't know it at the time, but they sold the Westland Oil at that time. I think it was in 1971 or so, and they sold it, and somebody else bought it. Then the company that wanted to that bought it just wanted gas service, or they wanted truck stops. They were going into the truck stop business, and of course that was something new then. Then they wanted to get rid of some of these small stations and stuff, and so they sold it to me, and I was in the 1970, 77, 78 or something in that area. They had a bulk plant and everything, and we just sort of absorbed the business and made improvements if we could, and different things, and got to be Sorum's Westland service then. At that time, they had about 5 service stations in town. Yeah, it was Cenex and Standard Oil and Exxon and Mobil. Probably was more. Lots of competition. You know. Well, I don't know. I guess I was open many hours a day. I guess I was on the main street. People could drop their car off and get it serviced, you know, and walk uptown and do their shopping. That was a good location, that's for sure. You know, and I had good help, I thought, pretty much. Most of them were, and I had seemed like a lot of help. I was making a list a while back, and it got to be a long list of help. Arnie Torgerson, he retired from he was working for the county shop, and he retired and went to work for me as a sort of a bookkeeper. Arnie and Herb Marcy, he was part black, man and a good man. And really, he worked for me for quite a few years. I don't exactly remember how many years. You know, some of the stuff you should have kept track of, or when they started to work for you and when they quit, or whatever. But he retired from me. He lived down here, right behind this Eknes, Super Valley. Well, I wasn't in the propane business then. There was 4 propane businesses in town. But I kind of wanted to get into the propane business. And Westland Oil promised me that when their propane man retired, they would give it to me. Well, in the meantime, there was Beams and different outfits were buying propane tanks, and they sold to Beams in 1970 or so. And so well, they'd promised me that. I was going to hold them to no promises and stuff. Anyway, I decided I was going to start a propane business. So in 1975, I bought a truck and a tank, and then bought a storage tank. They always stressed to me that I should go visit the customers, potential customers and stuff. And so I tried to do that when I didn't have anything else to do. Well, anyway, I went out to different spots, and there's one spot I particularly remember, and that was out to Goodwin Hoagland. I stopped by their farm, and of course they knew sort of what I was there for and stuff, and so they invited me in. And I don't remember if we had coffee or dinner. I don't remember for sure. But anyway, I have had it. So they welcomed me and everything, but they didn't change right away, because they had a customer, or they had a supplier and stuff. But anyway, I ended up, they got to be a good customers and everything. And there was some of my steadiest customers, and there was many more around, and got to be more as I got bigger and as I got more acquainted and stuff. And then I had customers down all the way to Columbus and even to Lignite and out towards home and everything. And so I had a lot of good customers, and fuel and propane or whatever. And I kept busy doing things to keep people working, and a lot of them would work back here. And Jim Grody, he worked for me, and I think he worked for 8 or 9 years for me. We have service the vehicles and cars and oil, and we wash windows and clean windshields and in the summertime. And they started this credit card stuff and have it out on the pole and self-serve and stuff. And I always kind of liked serving my customers and stuff. And so I just like to have them service and give them a little personal treats or help and able to know your customers better, probably. I guess you have good customer relations, you can expect customers back. And yeah, we have a few people that come in and I have coffee every morning. And we have cookies or some. I like to have that. We don't always have that. But everybody is welcome, that's for sure. And I always, if I'm here, and I'll ask them if they don't have coffee. I said, would you like coffee? And sometimes they do. Sometimes, oh, we don't drink coffee. But anyway, they it's the idea of asking them, and that makes it makes me feel good, and whether they have some or not, you know. Jonathan played hockey for a few years, and we followed that pretty close.
Yeah, that was a good thing for us.
We enjoyed that.
You know, because we didn't go a lot or do anything. That was a fun thing. That was probably the most active thing we've done with people, probably.
And Kendall was in there some.
But there wasn't a team for him. He was older, and there wasn't a team for him all the time. He didn't start the first year like the rest of the kids. I think he was in second grade.
Yeah,
I think he was goalie because he couldn't skate.
Yeah,
to start out with.
he was a goalie, yeah, for when he first was a kid. And pretty soon he wasn't goalie no more, and we couldn't figure out why he wasn't goalie. He could skate better. So he didn't get to skate, or he was better at other things.
But he was goalie for quite a while, though, actually.
A couple years.
It was more than that.
No. And it was part of our family life.
Then when we went to the games, and Kendall had to work.
Kendall. Yeah, well, I'll start from the beginning. I had the station here, and I had people working for me. And Jocelyn was, 15, 16, or about that age. And she said, I want to work at the station. Oh, I says, I don't think so. She insisted that she work here. And so I said, there's no place for a girl to work. Because it was mostly all men, and sometimes things, you know. And so, but she worked here. she worked until she went to school. Yeah. Oh, she went and got a job someplace, and so then Jennifer worked here, and so they worked there, and then Heather worked there. They all spent their time here, and they all really helped out, you know. Mostly pump gas and probably wash windows, and I think they changed oil somewhat, but I had other help too that probably was doing that part of it. They were doing the station part, and Kendall's turn was there, and so he got working too, and he did pretty much everything, and eventually, you know, and so then Jonathan worked too, but Kendall, he worked all the time, and he got to be the regular one working here, and he's always been here, and that's the only place he's worked. So, and it's Jonathan. So you always miss that when they leave, you know, and so see what they can do, and how they treat customers, and that was always, I always kind of highlighted that part of it, just being good to the customers. I've banked on them ever since, you know. Well, Kendall especially, he didn't work. I mean, he worked steady. I mean, he had more hours, but it sort of come on kind of sudden, you know. I got macular degeneration, and so I could tell my eyes weren't quite, you know. Well, he was able to take over and do that too, and so we had. So now he's totally delivering, and then he's trained Sierra to do it too. He has a helper if he needs him, and he needs one every once in a while, and she works here, and she's a very capable person. It amazes me how she can do things and fast.
Yeah, they certainly did keep busy. The Jennifer Carr hopped, and they babysat. The girls babysat when they were younger. It seemed like they
were always working somewhat.
Seemed like it.
You know. My mother was remarried. She got married after my dad died, and they both farmed, and I was kind of wanting a farm, but Mom needed, they had to farm together, make it worthwhile. But anyway, they retired.
Now, what year was that?
It was around 82. 80.
Oh, was that long ago?
And they retired. I ended up buying their land. And then that was in 84, 83 or 84, I started farming. I was younger then. And so.
Well, that was great. They had us come out and they served, didn't they have us out for pie?
Yeah.
And that's how we found out.
Yeah.
I think that happened with both times, I think.
That was for
That
Thaddeus.
and life.
For their birth.
Oh, it's
It was
fun.
kind of a surprise, in a way.
Well, okay,
She never say when she was going to go.
now they were, Thad and
Yeah.
Leif are Jocelyn's boys, yes.
And
And Thad is 39.
he got 2 girls.
Yeah,
And
one is 5 and one is 4. And Leif, well, they're about a year and a half apart, those 2 boys. Leif has 7 children. The oldest one will be 15 in September. Samantha.
Samantha and Ethan.
Well, that she was a girl because I had 2 grandsons. I was very happy to get a girl. Busy. You know, checking everything out, you know, she was busy. Well, Samantha is Della. That's her little girl. She's very smiley, really smiley, and she's small, she's tiny. Well, I don't mean she was small when she was born. She was 7 something, but Samantha was kind of tiny like that when she was little, like Jocelyn. At 6 months, they could still wear 6 months clothes, and sometimes our babies are wearing 12-month clothes or something. And she's really tiny and she's really smiley. She doesn't look like she's related to Samantha. His eyes, it's just got this little thing in the chin.
Yeah.
Ethan. Oh yeah, he had to put up with me.
He's friendly.
It was when we were eating at the table, he would kind of, like he was acting up, and I sent him to the bathroom. I'd go sit in the bathroom till he sit down. Well, he would just, you know, there'd be several kids around the table, and he would just kind of, he wasn't doing anything bad, but he was just kind of, I don't know, trying to be
cool.
funny or whatever. And so I'd tell him to go, and he would go in there, and none of them were sassy. Kendall has 3 children, Sierra, Maverick, and Remington. Oh, they were just really good to have around. Sierra, just sweet. Really, just good as they were just really good. There was no trouble having around at all. She was just good, easygoing, and, you know, Maverick. He was good. Oh, and he was such a help when there were 2 babies that were about the same age, and he was a big help. And then he had his birthday so that he couldn't start the year he turned 6. And he was really good. He was a big help. Remington. He was good. Oh, he was sweet.
Yes.
He was quiet. He wasn't, boisterous.
Well, one thing about it, Joan took care of every one of them when they're little. You know, because the parents are working.
I suppose we
And
did.
every one of them, she had them babysat. And she got along with them all real good.
Heather has 3 children. Bjorn, Bryn, and Breda. They're all good. It seemed like they were all good. You know, there was no troublemakers or anything. It seemed
No,
like
they
they were
were
all good.
Hoyt.
Oh, Hoyt.
Yeah, Hoyt is
Yeah,
our last grandchild.
he is really a smart kid. It's so different. He's an only child. It's a lot different than the family that has, you know, he's smart. He's very smart. See, Thad's the oldest, and he's
39.
39, and Hoyt's the youngest, and he's 9. That's a big spread. They're all important to me, and they're all good. Actually, when we're babysitting, Kenny wasn't around much.
No, that was her. That was her lone job.
I mean, you know, he's just not been around a whole lot up until lately.
I was working.
But I mean, he was always so busy. Crop stringing was late, and then when he did farming out of the farm sometimes, and that wasn't all that long ago, he'd come home at 10, 11 o'clock. I mean, it's...
Yeah, she hasn't taken care of the great grandchildren.
No.
But
Don't even hardly see them.
I think she's taken care of all the rest of them.
Seen Della a few times now. They've been really good to stop when they're here, so that's nice.
Well, they're good to come and see that they're doing all right. All of Kendall's kids have worked here too. Sierra, she worked here, and she wanted to come back to work. She went to college, and then she got a job down there in the oil fields, and as a welder, she had worked here too, and she was efficient and ambitious. She don't have to tell her what to do. She would know. She'd have it done probably before. And easy to get along with, and of course she wanted to come back to work here, and I said, go ahead, Kendall, you want her back, well, you get her back. And I guess I don't know what it's like not to have somebody in the family working. Well, that means we're in service to the community and a living. I often like to help people. Well, I've had, in the early days, I had people going to the West Coast. They didn't have any money. And they wanted to supply them some money. And they were going to pay me back. But anyway, there's a few of them that talked me into giving them something. And it was just, I helped somebody that needed help. That's what, instead of thinking that they rooped me out of some money or whatever, you know, but I kind of like that too. And after my walking and different things, I not doing real good as far as serving people, but of course I'm not doing that no more. But I guess a lot of my favorite stuff is out driving truck too. Yeah. And Kendall too. A lot of the service station stuff then and stuff. I'm not real good at changing oil myself. Well, I don't know. When I started, there was a lot of difference than it is now. But I still say that if you're honest and work hard and be friendly, and it's the same old thing, really. A lot of it is, and not all of it. And it's something I don't really think of, but there's plenty of things to be happy about.
Well, I'm happy we're still here and we're still together, and then we have such a nice family.
They take care of us good too. But time went so fast we didn't really think about it.
It's very true.
But
I always, people said when you get older the time goes slow. No. It's gone fast the whole time. Oh. Yeah, I can't believe it's going to be 65 years. I cannot. I don't know where the time went.
yes, I do, in a way. But I still wish I could work more. I kind of like farming, too. I don't think I've done everything I wanted to, what I thought I should do, but I don't know if I have any regrets neither. I guess I let them roll under if they were. Well, she's loyal, loving, and she's done a good job of raising the kids. She was a good singer. When she was younger, she would sing for weddings and funerals and stuff like that. And she's a pretty good cook too, Right now, she always watches out so she don't make any sweets. She don't want me to get any fatter, I guess. But she don't have any.
He's still here. He puts up with me.
Oh, she takes care of me. She feeds me and does.
Not so good anymore.
Yeah, if I had to have pills or something.
We get Meals on Wheels, so I'm not doing so good.
I'm limping around, and
so am I.
so she fell and broke her hip a couple times.
I broke the hip one time, and I broke the femur the next time.
Well,
It's not two hips.
and then I broke my femur. And then I had heart surgery. And
We moved into this house 7 years, the first part of March, and then he had surgery. All good people.
they're all good workers. They're all making a living for themselves, and they are good citizens.
They've done very well in spite of us.
Well, we got them to work with us, and it's got to be. They didn't want to leave home or something, but
That's the best part.
we're pretty much just family oriented.
Family's the most important thing. I can't imagine people not having a family. I mean, you know.
Well, I've heard those city singers singing about how they can love deeper than the oceans, higher than the stars above. Well, I come from the country and I know I ain't seen it all, but I heard that ocean salty and the stars they sometimes fall. And that would not do justice to the way I feel for you. So I had to sing a song about all the things I knew. My love is deeper than the holler, stronger than the river, higher than the pine trees growing tall upon the hill. My love is purer than the snowflakes that fall in late December, and honest as a robin on a springtime windowsill, and longer than the song of a whippoorwill. From the back roads to the Broadway shows with 1,000,000 miles between, there's at least 1,000,000 love songs that people love to sing. And everyone is different, and everyone's the same. And this is just another way of saying the same thing. My love is deeper than the holler, stronger than the river, higher than the pine trees growing tall upon the hill. My love is purer than the snowflakes that fall in late December, and honest as a robin on a springtime windowsill, and longer than the song of a whippoorwill. My love is deeper than the holler, stronger than the river, higher than the pine trees growing tall upon the hill. My love is purer than the snowflakes that fall